Hello, this is Aoven. I've been playing this game for years, pushing the highest content with friends and guildmates who are trying to do the same. But not today. Meet Aovalu, my fresh max level guardian druid tank. This series will take you through the dungeons and raids that I do, and log the trials and tribulations along the way. I won't be grouping with anyone that I know unless they are of a similar or lower item level. Anyone who signs up in the group finder will be fair game. My goal will be to achieve a rating of 2500 in Mythic Plus by the release of 10.1. This is a brand new series. Welcome to Zero to Hero. Hello, welcome back to Zero to Hero. This is AO, and this is my druid Aobalu. Coming back from last week, this is the day after reset. Gonna do a key and go look at our vault. Try to fix what happened with that warrior who joined that random group I joined, or not the random group, but the group that I was in last for that Azure vault. But we're gonna go look at our vault here and see what we got. We will make sure that the key is at a 9 or whatnot, and then we'll grab the lower item level loot that doesn't come from that vault, just so that it stays pretty true to the, you know, how the series is supposed to go. But coming back in here, Bear's looking pretty good. We got some pretty decent gear going on for us, and I think we're up to like 370 or something like that. We also have that mythic dungeon, or the mythic dungeon quest that we're going to do this week. So we'll have to see how that goes. But let's head over to the vault here real quick. As you can see, this is a VOD. I forgot, I recorded all of this already, and I completely forgot to turn on my microphone. So the two Windwalker videos where it's just quiet and I'm just running the key, that's because I forgot to turn on my mic. But yeah, like you said, I got 2 pieces of tier in the vault, by the way. So we'll drop the claws, and we'll make sure that we grab the antlers here. And it's nice because those also have a socket on them. Some pretty big buffs there for the for those. With the socket and everything, and then we can upgrade that with our Valor next week when the Valor becomes uncapped. A couple other things that I talked about is this video, or in this video, I guess, is that we got a huge amount of buffs for Druid this week. Just crazy amounts of buffs. Druid got lots of defensive buffs. They're much stronger overall. Lots of just armor buffs, and high. Atlee says hi. He wants to go outside, but not right now. Go lay down. I'll give him some pets while we're sitting here. Yeah. But your druid's looking all right. We got a couple mythic 0 pieces and whatnot, and getting that mythic that tier piece was kind of nice too. So, but as for like the buffs and stuff, basically some armor bonuses. Stuff comes off cooldown a bit faster. Damage reduction increases, healing increases, just some pretty decent buffs to just overall survivability. So hopefully you don't see us dying too much here. So, well, I'm sure you'll see us here in a second. We're gonna go ahead and go do this Halls of Valor, and I will commentate over it. See you soon. Bye-bye. Welcome back. So this is the Halls of Valor I ran, and I think right here I'm kind of just talking about, like, the group is much lower composition than we did before. We had a Resto Druid, an Elemental Shaman, an Arcane Mage, and a and then a Havoc Demon Hunter. The Demon Hunter didn't have like much at all for IO, but the healers seemed like they'd be pretty good at like 1600 or whatnot. But I'm also not very geared, so, and I was not thinking about that in this dungeon. You'll see what happens. But so we pop in and kind of go here and fast forward a bit to the when we pull the dungeon here. They share me the mythic dungeon quest, so we'll go ahead and get to the pull here. So go ahead and pull the dungeon. And I was telling people, or I was asking people to CC the first Thundercaller, right? Because we're going to go in and blow it up. And I'm curious kind of just like what happened with my CCs and stuff. And I was going to mark it, but my automarker had already marked it, and I didn't realize it. I just saw that. But we go in. We're running in, trying to keep ourselves up. I'm trying to make sure that they CC that Thundercaller, and they do, which is good. and then he arcane explosions it. Oh no. So that's what happened there. Then I pop Ursoc and I just start pumping away, and I'm like trying to hit these explosives, but the explosives start going off because people aren't paying attention to it. We have a breath go out here, and I don't have any big CDs going because both those explosives went off. And I'm just like trying my hardest to make sure that I stay alive through this. Popping CDs. Do I let Iron, or no, I don't let Iron Bark fall off here. I should have Nature's Vigil. I never did. But my Bark skin is still up, doing my best to stay up, and I just fall over. And our DPS was just not there at all. I was top damage on that pull, which is kind of crazy. I was pulling like 60k DPS. I don't know what our DPS were doing, but they weren't, they didn't hit any of their buttons. Like, looking at the cooldowns right now, none of them had any of their, like, big CDs on cooldown. They lusted, but they didn't, like, Fire Ellie, Ascendance. I don't know what the Arcane Mage buff is called. Metamorphosis, they didn't use any of them. Granted, I did Nature's Vigil, but all of that would have probably been dead if they'd used all that. So I probably could have Nature's Vigiled, which would have helped. Could have Typhooned, could have Ursocked. And then this is kind of silly too, because I come up here and I'm like, okay, so we're gonna pull slower. We're just do the normal double pull with the champions. I'm trying to keep stuff aggroed, and I just fall over. I was getting 4k heals from the healer. And I'm just like, I don't know what to do at this point. I thought the key was bricked, to be honest. But we go in there, and I just res back up, and we keep going. Kind of a scuffed pull, man. Like, everybody's dying. I'm trying to get everything grouped back up together. And at this point, the Demon Hunter's like, take it slow, don't go so fast. And you can see people started using their CDs there. Like, they used Meta, they used the Arcane Mage cooldown. The Ellie Shaman still has all his CDs. I'm not sure what that is. Like, he still has Fire Ellie. I don't know if the Ellie Shaman just doesn't know what they're doing. I don't know. But I think I might die. Do I die again here? I need to move my weak aura too or my bars for my health potions on this particular UI. Oh, I need to remember to shrink the weak auras. I shrunk them for all the other classes, but I never shrunk them for the bear because the bear's new. So I just need to shrink that weak aura a bit. But we miraculously make it through this pull. And at this point, I'm worried. I'm thinking the dungeon might just fall apart. Like, people could leave at any minute, right? Just toxicity and whatnot. But it doesn't. At least for now, anyway. Go in, making sure we enter up the Thundercaller. Just gotta look for those explosives. Breath's coming out. Looks like I pop a pretty big CD. I used a Nature's Vigil at some point. I gotta get better about that. Oh, that's Super Smash Brothers music, man. It's so good. Drake. Everything should be coming up here. And I'm just trying to, like, make sure the explosives get hit, because obviously the group isn't the best, so I'm just trying to, like, pick up at what I can, right? I can get explosives. It shouldn't be a problem. And our DPS is much better this time. I'm not sure what happened. Maybe people just need a second to, like, get warmed up, but I mean, I'm still like up there with everybody, but you know, maybe it's just too big of a pull for this group. And at this point, I'm like telling myself, like, I gotta start slowing it down, right? And we go to Himdall. This is kind of funny. I think I remember what happens here, but all right. And I'm just waiting for I'm waiting for the healer to sit and start drinking, but they never do, so I just kind of go. Looks like we pop Rage of the Sleeper. I really need to get better about using Nature's Vigil. There's a part of me that just wants to macro it to my other abilities, so just because, like, if I macro it to Incarn, right? I'm going to be trying to pull big anyway when I have Incarn. So macroing it to Incarn, like, I'll be doing big damage, I'll be healing a ton, and it'll always be up during that. So at least I'll have usage there. But Incarn's like a 3-minute cooldown, so you can use it in between every Incarn too. I don't know. Maybe that's the first step, is using it during Incarn, or macroing it to Incarn, and then, like, actively trying to use it. I should put this, like, a weak aura in the middle of my screen that says, you have Nature's Vigil. Use Nature's Vigil. But, oh, and I didn't really talk about it, but I don't know if anybody noticed, but we had a couple people get hit by Dragon's Breath there, and I was really glad it wasn't tyrannical. Definitely a much different group than the 9 we were in last week. And I also didn't, like, cherry pick this group as much. I just kind of, or at all, really. I wanted something a little more entertaining to watch. And I was thinking that, you know, maybe it'd be a little bit harder key. We'd have to play a little bit better, you know, because like nines, I don't think nines are super difficult. But this is what we got. And the healer's actually doing pretty good HPS, 33k per second here. Still top damage in the dungeon. And our Ellie Shaman, I don't think our Ellie Shaman has used Fire Ellie once. They did use Ascendance on pull. Now that I'm watching this back, like, it's kind of funny because I don't think I've seen him use Fire Ellie at all. That's crazy. I should watch Ironbark too to see if the Druid Ironbarks me ever. That's another thing. So I wanted to go this side because this side's just easier. There's not as many packs. And again, in my mind, I'm like, oh, I could probably double pull this into the next pack, right? So I come up here and Holy Radiance and try to pop all this stuff up. And my goal is like, we can kill this Mystic. And then when the Mystic dies, we can pull into the next pack. And I can just handle explosives. So I'm like trying to blow up explosives, trying to kill stuff. Nothing too crazy.
Holy Radiance.
Try to interrupt that. And I think I just take this right into the next pack, don't I? Yeah, I do. Pop Rage of the Sleeper, and I think that's what it's called. Or I don't remember exactly what it's called. The one that when things do damage to you, you do damage back. And it gives you like 25% damage reduction. It's pretty nice little CD. I think I have... Do I Instincts here? I think I need to use Instincts more often too, because I think the cooldown is much shorter. It doesn't have 2 charges like it used to, but the cooldown does seem to be a bit shorter than it used to. Those edge casts hurt quite a bit. Take big damage, hit that enraged regen, and just heal it all back up. That big bear healing. Again, Nature's Vigil is off cooldown. I just need to be using that, man. On cooldown. Just pop it all the time. This is a bit of a small pull. And then I was thinking, like, where's the Pat? Because we want to pull that Pat for percent, right? So I'm kind of watching. And I'm like, we'll kill the Mystic so that it doesn't get CC immune by the Yad. Or by the big guy. And then when the Mystic is dead, I can just pull the big guy in, right? And we'll just kill it. I think that's what I do. I think I start looking here in a second because the champion gets kind of low. I'm like, where's this pad at? I want to pull it in. It's right there. So we just go ahead and grab it. Pull it back a little bit just to make sure we don't get any weird cleave. Hit those explosives. I do really like the chat bubbles thing. I start just getting annihilated there. I wonder, like, if... I don't want to really go back in the video, but I wonder if I dropped one of my defensives there. Because that might have been what happened. Start popping some big CDs again. Make sure we stay up. I think we pull pretty big here too again. There is one pull coming up that I was kind of surprised we didn't have too many issues with. I made a pretty bad call here on this pull, I think. Explosives going out. Gotta hit that Holy Radiance. So the Rune of Healing goes off, and I'm like, oh, I gotta Typhoon this out, because I don't want them to heal up, right? And then that was a Thundercaller's interrupts weren't going out. I should go back in the game after this and see if I can figure out where the, like, how many interrupts were happening. I'll look at the end of this video. I'm just curious, like, if people were interrupting things. I didn't have an interrupt for that Thundercaller, and it killed another person. Those Thundercallers just wreck on Fortified. It's crazy. Double Shield Maiden. And I here I'm thinking, too, like, I don't want to frontal the healer that's just standing there. I'm not really worried about dying. We're just kind of, like, finishing stuff off while the mage runs back and the DH is dead. Then we'll res and get everybody back. This time it looks like we might actually have time to time also. Kind of close. I mean, we've lost 11 minutes. We're not at Herja yet, so that's kind of rough, but... Oh, those Mortal Hues are rough. Well then, so we res. Waiting on the mage to get back. They're running in. Looking at the healer mana, which is really low. They should be drinking while I'm resing, and they're not. They're resing. I don't know if they just didn't grab. Bursting's out of control. But we're running in there. I also need to remember when I record videos to turn off my Twitch stuff, because it just shows all the different what do you call it? It shows all my like followers and stuff. Not a whole ton of people watch my stream. I have a lot of friends and stuff that'll pop by, which is kind of nice because I'll be like progressing on Mythic or something, or in the raid, or just doing keys and stuff, and people stop by. And here, so I was like, oh, we'll just do the normal pull, like the 4 shield maidens. As long as people hit the whatever you call it, we'll be fine. And then the shield maiden just goes crazy, and I finally get everything picked up, and I'm like, okay, just gotta keep defensives running. It should be fine, right? And no, nothing fell off, and I Savage Instincts late. I just needed a bit more attention than that, I think, or something. Actually, I wonder if that was due to explosives going off, because I kind of backed myself into a corner and couldn't see anything. I wonder if there was just a bunch of explosive damage. And then again, I was really surprised there. I'm just like, we didn't get that. Like that, I don't usually see that to be a difficult pull to a certain extent. And again, I didn't Nature's Vigil. I need to be using that more often. We'll go ahead and forward here. So I was getting a little tilted here. So we'll go ahead and go forward in the video just a bit till we go back to pulling. Oh, not quite that far. Okay. So yeah, I'm just going to go slower now. Oh, and the healer was right on top of me there. Boom. The shield maidens just truck, man. They're kind of crazy. Mortal Hue. Minus 40% heal. You might be able to outrange that. Like when they're doing their cast, if you just like walk away a little bit, you might be able to outrange it to where they don't hit you with the ability. I'm not certain. I'm not 100% sure how these work. I usually just take them to the face, and if I get too many stacks, I like to kite on top of these stairs here, and I'll just like jump down to prevent myself from dying. So now we just have the shield maidens, and then we have the purifier, and I'm just going to go up and try to interrupt this cleansing flames to get him to come down. Because we didn't have a ton of people like interrupting and stuff, so. Cleansing flames going off, I don't have an interrupt for that. And I'm like trying to hit these explosives. And I think here I was talking about how maybe explosives were the reason that wipe happened. More Mortal Hues. And I just park myself in this corner and turn my camera around so I can see what's going on. I don't have an interrupt for that cleansing flame. Cleansing flames. More mortal hues going off. I'm not really worried about anything here. The thing that I'm watching is like there's that character that's sitting on the stairs right below me and one right above me, so I have nowhere to turn or I'm just gonna frontal everybody. I didn't really notice that in the game, but I'm noticing it now. Shield Maiden's an aspirant. And nothing too crazy here. Just don't get hit by the jump and try to watch the frontals. Try to position the frontals so your group doesn't get killed. That blast of light always targets the tank. It's kind of like the shockwave in Court of Stars. You know, Skyrim's like main theme is actually pretty good for this. Mortal Hue, Blast of Light. But yeah. Well, those are all dead now, so just killing the shield maidens. Nothing too crazy here. Breach armor. A lot of breach armor. 30% armor and 80% healing reduction. Just getting trucked. Not too bad, though. So we have the 2 mini bosses on Fortified. They're kind of rough. So here I was like, I'll pull this guy over, and we'll just see how it goes. Like, the healer wasn't drinking again, because I was watching for that, too. And I was like, we'll just pull this, and maybe I'll pull the other boss in. I don't think I pull it in. I think somebody else pulls it in. Yeah, the druid pulled it in. So I think they knew what was going on. But so we finish off. We're going to work on finishing off Solston, and then I always wait for that first orb to go out. And then if you go between the 2 orbs that go out first, you can just stand there until the final orb, and then you just have to cut between the 2 final orbs. And our Demon Hunter, and it failed to sanctify. So we'll probably res after this while our healer gets their mana back. And I was also going to try, so there's some interesting tech you can do on this boss where you pull him to the light side first, and then at 4 seconds, you run the boss. So you have to do it exactly at 4. So the boss has to be running towards you at 4, and you run him over to the blue side. And what that does is it switches the side the boss uses their main abilities on. So when you're on the blue side, instead of using the shield, it'll use Sanctify. And if you're on the yellow side, see, somebody pulled here. So I was just like, oh God. And then I was looking at the timer and I'm like, I'm too late. I can't do it now. But what'll happen is, so it usually uses Sanctify on the yellow side. But if you switch right before they use the ability, they still use it and it flips the abilities they use. So right now she would be getting blue charge and but still be using Sanctify, which means that it doesn't get buffed. So any of the damage you take from her light type abilities don't do extra damage to her. And then when you switch back to the yellow side, you get the dome, and the same thing happens with the dome, where you just get reduced damage, and you don't, or it doesn't do excess damage, and it just makes it so much easier to heal. It's really good for Tyrannical. Like if you're a tank and you can make it work, it just, you'll carry the hell out of Herja with that trick. But overall, this boss is pretty straightforward. Like once you get it set up, it's just Shield of Light to the other side every time it goes out. That's all I ever do. I always try to CD each one of the blasts of lights, though, because they do hurt. They do hit like a truck. But Herja's going to go down, and we're going to go ahead and head to the next packs. And I think we pulled a little bit... we didn't pull as much as we normally would, just because of all the wipes that we'd had. So there's still more trash to clear. So we're going off to the side here, and I noticed something kind of silly happen. The Demon Hunter pulls this trash, so we have to kill it. And here I'm thinking, how can I adjust the route? So it might still time this key, right? We only have 18 minutes, but if we don't have any like major screw-ups, there's a chance we can still time it, right? And so I think my thought was that we can skip 2 of the warg packs. And if I do my normal route, we can skip the 2 warg packs and we'll be fine. So I think that's what I try to do. So we kill this and we just go kill the next 2 packs on the other side and make our way towards the Fenrir side of the map. It's kind of interesting doing this like commentating thing, or I'm like commentating over the gameplay. Like I don't actually have to play this, which is kind of interesting. It's a lot longer because I can because I'm not playing the game, right, and commentating at the same time. So it is a lot more extra time. But it's also interesting because I can like watch and critique myself in the gameplay around me, and that was tight. That shield made in slash really hurt. But we were able to get through it somehow. Make sure we interrupt that Mystic. Those Mystics and Thundercallers, man. Usually I try to take care of the Mystic, or just kite him out of the Rune of Healings and hit the Radiances, right? And then your DPS, I usually expect the DPS to kind of get the Thundercaller, because that's, if I was playing DPS, that's what I'd be worried about, is the Thundercaller's Thundercall or the Thunder hitting me and blowing me up. But after this, we might like page into the game real quick and just get a quick look at the at what the interrupts were like in this dungeon, because I think it might still be up there. And here I'm like, I gotta hit these explosives, try to get the captain in. If I remember right, I dip really low here. I didn't get hit by the pen shot. The etch, I lost aggro on the Rune Carver, but I pushed that marksman over, and the Rune Carver dies. Okay, yeah, I did dip kind of low. Oh, and they did iron mark me, so yeah, that was nice. Then I didn't like where that marksman was standing, because it's like right next to that Rune Carver. It's just gonna screw him up. Oh, it's nice too, because I can take a drink while I'm watching this. Let's go. Still kill the dragon. There's ways you can skip the dragon, and I think it's actually optimal to skip the dragon, because there's better percent you can get in other places, like pulling more bears or pulling more wargs or something like that, because there's some interesting tech you can do with the wargs, which I try to show off in this video, but people don't do it 100% correct. But I wanted to show people, because even if it doesn't work great here, you know, they might notice it and try to do it later. Also, I just noticed that Resto Druid was like standing in that lightning tornado. Just standing in it. That's funny. So the Drake dies and we're going to keep moving. And our healer's pretty low mana. I don't think I noticed. Or no, I'm usually pretty good about looking at healer mana before I pull a group. I've gotten really used to it. I used to be a melee DPS main where I would just DPS all the time, and I really wanted to tank this expansion, which is why I didn't go back to the guild I usually play in. And I tried to find a guild that would let me tank, so that's, and I found one, which is why I'm tanking and able to play with able to play a bunch of different tanks in Mythic Plus and stuff like that. So interesting thing about Fenrir is his little claw attack here. Not the sleep. You just want to dodge this because it puts a bleed on everybody. But the little claw attack that he does, the big red circle, it's shared between everybody standing in it. So especially in hierarchies, that's really important. Also didn't look to see. I think I did look to see if the healer was like trying to drink, but they didn't. So I saw this. So I'm going to just back it into the wolf here and try to make sure that they get hit by it. Or at least let them know, like, hey, you need to stand in this. And you see the mage? The mage moved in. Like, what a PogChamp. Let's fucking go. The mage is like, I'm going to go help. I'm going to be standing in there. But it still doesn't hit the other two. They're just, like, standing right outside of the thing. And I'm like, I'm going to get you guys hit by this. And then we phase him. So healer still doesn't have stuff. And I think I type here. I'm trying to get people to come to the post. And sometimes I feel like I come off kind of condescending because I'm trying to just type quickly to get the information out. I'm like, come here, stand on the fence. Come over here, stand on this fence post. And I go over there and I like jump on the post because I'm like, come here, stand on this post, please. And I see people come over there. And the problem here is not everybody was on the post itself. You have to be on the post that Zobris just got on. Or Zolaris? So we pull all these wargs. And if everybody's on the post, they can't jump. But because not everybody's up there, it screws it up. So I was worried. I was like, oh, this might be a wipe. And I might get an even, I might make this group hate me even more. But they still keep jumping. And then I'm trying to like tell them, everyone on the post, on that post. And I like jump on it. And I'm like, over here, over here. So I'm trying to like save a wipe, right? And then somebody pulls the stag. And then I think I finally get the whole group up there. I didn't realize the Demon Hunter was up there. So the Demon Hunter couldn't attack. Which is kind of bad. But you notice how all the DPS get up there and they suddenly stop jumping. It's so good, man. It's such an awesome ability for like preventing people from, or preventing them from jumping. So if you get everybody up there and they're not jumping, as a tank, you can pull all the wargs right up next to it, and then your melee can hit it if you have melee in your group. You might want to be careful about how many you pull, because the more wolves you pull, the more damage they do. So you got to be careful of that. And I'm kind of waiting just to make sure everybody's here, because I saw the healer finally drank to get their mana back up. Fenrir's pretty straightforward. You just need to run away when you get the scent of blood. And he's basically the same as his like mini boss counterpart. I wonder if like in game code, if the Fenrir mini boss and this Fenrir are technically the same creature, or if they're just different creatures. Oh, I forgot about this. So the Ellie Shaman has the bleed, and he doesn't run fast enough. And I don't know if there's anything I can do to help that. But they beers him. But here I'm telling him, like, we need to go bears next. We need to go bears next, right? Because the bears is really efficient count. They're fairly easy to kill. You just need to keep your tank up, pretty much, right? Just pop some defenses on them and blow them up. And I made the mistake of expecting everybody to just kind of follow me. And you'll see the shenanigans that happen with this. So Scent of Blood goes out again, this time on our Demon Hunter, and our Demon Hunter seems to know what's up. Because I think he gets hit once here, yeah. But he still kites it out. Does a pretty good job, doesn't fall over. On a Tyrannical, if he would have gotten that one auto, that might have killed him. Or even like on a hierarchy. But I'm like, follow. Trying to tell people to go. I feel kind of bad because I get this mage killed. And I'm like telling him to follow. I didn't even notice, like, everybody else just took off in a different direction, like didn't come with me. Looks like the shaman was going to, and then he just didn't. So I'm pulling these grizzlies because we need count, right? And this is 7% count just from this little like pull here. So I like pop some big CDs, start blowing stuff up, and I'm gonna start like trying to kite into a circle. And I stopped because I saw that they hadn't come, and I was like, where is everybody? And then I was like, yeah, you can see I'm just like, oh, they just didn't follow. And I was pretty upset here. I was just like, at this point, I'm like, what am I even doing here? But it's all right. 10 minutes left. Seems pretty doable. So we run back and got to run past this sentinel, which kind of sucks because it's in a bad pat position. Wait for it to go back over on the other side here. Oh boy. Then I came back and they're like, they pulled two bulls? How did that happen? This is 3% pack, or 3% of your total. So we just get our defensives up, get some iron for rolling. And then here I'm like, oh, how are we gonna get percent, right? Because I didn't know if there's enough trash here to even get percent without pulling the metal. So I was kind of confused on what to do. So I think what I end up doing is I pull the two big guys, so I figure out how much more we need. Because you need 90, or you need 84 before you go up. And I was going to go over there and pull, but I was like, I don't know if we need more than like one mob, or what all we need. So I ran over and pulled the sentinels. I think I tell people, like, hey, we still need percent, so like, don't leave after this. And this, like, one thing you can do is, because you're so fast as a tank, if you want to like make it a little, I don't know if it's probably not super important, but you can wait in the first charge pulse a little bit if you pull them quickly, and then you can like wait for the second one to start going off. Also, that shaman almost died. I think they might have been just standing in the crackle. So, I mean, overall, there were some misplays in here. I could have realized that when I was doing bigger pulls, used my big CD more often, my Savage Instincts. Using that may have saved me like more preemptively, at least for a certain point. But I used it on like the very big pull at the beginning that we wiped on, and I think in some of the other pulls that I wiped, or the other pulls that we've wiped on in this, I think I use it, but I use it late, or like when it's already kind of a lost cause, right? And here I'm like trying to figure out how much I need for percent. Because we need 84, so we need 4 more percent. And I'm looking at those and I don't think that quite equals 4. So I'm like, we'll pull this. I don't actually know if we needed the rune carver there. I should have thought about that. I should have pulled the 3 and looked at my total on like the key thing on the right side of the screen there. And I may not have needed the rune carver. Oh, we did the Ursul's Typhoon combo there. And I'm just trying to make sure the Thundercaller gets interrupted here. And then I start taking a lot of damage. Oh, I got... The marksman was behind me. I wonder if I was getting back hit. So I get rezzed. And I go in and I'm like trying to get aggro on stuff. Oh, she got hit by the pen shot. That's what killed her. Okay. And at this point, we've lost too much time, I think. And the key's pretty much dead. At this point, I was just like, we're not going to get it. Kind of rough. But I mean, the point of the series is to learn and talk about the things that I learn. So this is actually kind of an interesting thing where, like, it was a bad key. Where, I mean, I definitely made a lot of mistakes and I could have played better. I think here I'm just like, I'm going to bounce and try to survive. Because I don't want these to reset and then have us kill them again. So I just keep going. I think actually, yeah, I do. I just incarn. I'm like, I'm going to incarn because I'll at least survive, right? Try to get these interrupts, try to blow these things up. I wonder what these guys were thinking. Like, because I can imagine if you're a player, like a lower level player. I don't really know exactly what level player. And I start looking for a beer. And I should have just gone to the other side because I didn't know where it was. But I can imagine if you play with people like this, you play with people that are more geared. So you probably run into quite good players. And I can imagine that they don't really like my tanking very much. But we grab the beer, we head up, because we're going to try to do a bit of a beer skip, maybe save a little bit of time. I think here I'm just talking about my gear, because I only 360, and it's a 9. Weapon would be huge for like overall damage done. And I'm just looking at this damage done overall graphic, and it's kind of insane. Like, just pretty low overall. Like 26k, 24, 23, and then I'm at 21 on a 360 druid. I love this. Like, you can get the king to just start hitting the other king. There's a way you can actually get all of the kings to go up. So there's a timer you do, and then you throw beers at a specific. You throw a beer at each of the at each of these guys at a specific time on the timer. Speaking of, I take a lot of damage here, and I get kind of scared because I'm like, I need to. I get scared because I'm like, I can't deal with this damage. So I'm like, I don't want to pull the next one and then have two more of them beating on me. So I kind of focus on that. So I think we just pulled the last two at the last time, which honestly might have actually been worse. It might have been better just to keep going. But at this point, I was so like jaded and kind of just sad that we didn't get the key that... I mean, honestly, the really low eye level, low Raider IO Demon Hunter that I pulled was the best DPS in the group. So, I mean, it wasn't horrible. We were able to, you know, we were able to get this far in the dungeon. It's pretty good. And here I'm like, I got to make sure I have CDs rolling because I'm just going to take a lot of damage from these when they're both beating on me like this. So we try to do our best to make sure that we have some big CDs popped most of the time. I do need to go in and like, I don't know if I need to like, I think I just need to move some of this stuff on this particular UI. I don't think I need to make it smaller per se though. Not too bad though. Dun, 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 dun. I don't remember what Mario game this is from. It's really good though. Oh, I remember. This boss is funny. Scofield is such a weird boss because like it's a boss that is really good with communication because you can be like, oh, I'm going to face the shield this way, and you know, make sure you're standing behind the shield this way. I'm going to hit it really late, so stand on the healer. Because if you use it really late, you can clip some of the later abilities, like right after he finishes his Ragnarok, and it's really useful because you can clip some Fellblaze rushes and some other stuff like that, so that you just eliminate the mechanic from the game, right? But pretty interesting. I saw the shield on my class bar. I didn't know where to do this, and I look over to the left, and you see the shaman over there. I'm like, he's not gonna. He made it. He barely made it. Oh boy! And then the druid backed out of it as it was still going and almost died. It's fucking crazy. What is this? Oh man! But we make it. Everybody lives. I don't know how we lived. I don't. This whole dungeon was just a fever dream. Honestly, it's kind of fun rewatching it, but in the moment, I was so frustrated. I was so frustrated. Oh man, I think we have one more Ragnarok before the boss dies. I think this one goes better. That first one just made me laugh though, because I remember watching the shaman and I'm like, is he gonna make it? Ah, shit, he made it. Let's go. Oh, and then the shaman's on like the wrong side, so I'm like, I'm gonna try to put it on this side, and then they all run to the shaman, and I'm like, no, why would you run away? And I'm like, I forgot about that. We only took one tick there, but you know, on any hierarchy that would have been a kill probably. Like people would have died. And then of course I didn't hit it late enough, so it didn't cover the Fellblaze rush, so everybody gets hit by it. And again, I'm not using Nature's Vigil. I think I have some ideas on what I'm gonna do with that. I'm probably just gonna macro to another ability so it just gets used on cooldown for now. Or I'm gonna, no, that's actually bad. Like, I don't like doing that because then you don't have it when you really need it. So I might just put like a really obnoxious weak aura somewhere that's like, hey, use Nature's Vigil. Like, it's either that or you put it with like a really big offensive ability and then the Demon Hunter just goes, oof, this dungeon was rough. So yeah, I'm 360, we have a 375 DH, 380 mage. Just a rough dungeon, man. Odin incoming. And I've been doing this lately where I try to bring him back in this corner, and I'm trying to bait people to walk towards me. Because I want these spears to be over here, if I can help it. Because it helps with keeping the center open. So that you have the center open for when you're... and then we're going to get pulled in. And I think it always pulls you like right onto the boss or right behind the boss. I'm not certain. But anyway... to keep the center open for when people get their marks, so you don't have to dodge, so you have an easier time dodging all the balls and stuff. It's something I've been trying lately, because I remember there was also a way where you could like bait the spears in a specific way. I have that fancy weak aura that tells you where the thing is, and I almost get hit by that orb. I didn't even see it in the moment. That would have been rough. We would have definitely won still, but I remember I was just like, oh gosh. Oh, man. Made you clench a little bit more than you probably wanted to. But yeah, 3% left on the boss. We're going to go ahead and probably phase him here. And I see, at this point, I don't even realize the boss is dead. And I'm like, oh, I got to go interrupt this obliterator. And the boss dies. So we were over by 1:26. With everything that happened, you know, honestly, real close to timing it. On 9 on a 360 druid, so could have definitely done a bit better, but you know, I think it wasn't too bad. I saw the horn and I was like, oh, that's interesting. We got a horn, and then we got the eye too. I don't know if the eye is good. It's interesting because that's like caster trinket, right? It's like your ranged attacks and spells have a chance to call down a fell meteor. That's best in slot for Mythic Plus for a prop paladin. That's the best trinket you can get on a prop paladin. Oh, and then the mage gives me the freaking horn, and I was so happy. I could just get a trinket from this. It was just a nice little thing to top it off. I hope I said thank you. I don't know if I did. I might have been talking in the video. I think I said something to him. Oh, yeah. Anyway. But, that was that was the video that we did. That was the, what do you call it? HOV that we had a lot of issues with. But, I think I talk about it here for a little bit, but we got a bunch of keys that we still need to do. We got a long way to 2,500. And we may even go further than that later on. But I think we get rid of a DPS trinket. And I mean, Horde of Valor is a DPS trinket. And it's an on-use that we can use with our Incarn. Just give us a huge stat boost while we're doing it, and we'll just do even bigger damage. So 361 Druid. But yeah, I guess that's going to be the end of this video. I don't know how I feel about the whole commentary thing. It's kind of interesting to do from this side, but well, next time we'll be doing whatever the next key is. I don't remember what it turned into, but we'll definitely plop or get that knocked out and try to get a bit more IO going. Try to get a couple more pieces. I saw that these shoulders, they're like 376 shoulders. We can turn those into a tier piece for 2 piece, and that may be worth doing, especially because next week we can just farm Valor and just start upgrading all these items, right? Next week is the week that Valor cap unlocks. So you can just farm Valor to your heart's content and get like full 415 gear, right? But if you have 2400 IO, I think is what you need to get all the way to 415. But yeah, we can go ahead and start. Yeah, and then I said, oh my god, I've been muted this whole time. But yeah, that's pretty much the end of the video. And I hope you enjoyed this little commentary that we did with this, and hope it wasn't too different from the normal kind. Maybe you like it more, maybe you like it less. Maybe we'll try to do it here and there, but thanks a lot for watching. Hope you've been enjoying the Zero to Hero challenge. Hope you're not too upset with the weird thing that happened last week. And thanks again for watching. And if you did like the video, it helps a lot if you leave a like and sub and all that kind of stuff. And maybe leave a comment about how I need to use Nature's Vigil more often. But thanks again for watching, and I hope you have a good rest of your day. And we'll see you next time. Bye-bye.